Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, this is Jesse with the Common Nerd, and man, I'll tell you what, when The Witcher 4 announcement came out, knowing that Ciri was going to be the main protagonist, obviously this throws up a lot of red flags for those of us out there that have been paying attention to this kind of stuff, and especially considering the state of the gaming industry out there. Well, needless to say, it causes the fan base to be a little divided, and having a trailer that didn't quite exactly get all of the love that a lot of people had in it. But of course, Ciri out there is a very much beloved character out there. But of course, as we've all seen time and time again, this kind of virtue signaling stuff that they do leads down the exact same kind of garbage writing and buggy broken games as we've seen so many times out there in the past. And obviously, we know that CD Projekt Red is known as of right now for their buggy and broken games. As a big fan of the Cyberpunk 2077 game, I've been playing it almost nonstop. I'm kind of addicted, not even going to lie. Go check out the streams for all of that kind of stuff out there. But I mean, legitimately, it's one of them situations where the CD Projekt Red already has a bad reputation for this kind of stuff, and now we're probably going to see even more of it. And well, guess what? All of the people out there that were afraid, all the people out there were giving us so mad about all the red flags, well, ladies and gentlemen, it turns out we were 100% correct, because CD Projekt Red has already confirmed that Ciri indeed will take on women's struggles in a medieval world. Oh yes, boys and girls, not only is she going to be the bestest, fastest thing ever, some kind of hybrid Witcher kind of nonsense garbage, even though the Witcher trials are something that she shouldn't actually be able to go through anymore because all of that stuff's been lost. But needless to say, boys and girls, that doesn't matter. Of course, the actual lore doesn't matter to CD Projekt Red and all the rest of their acolytes of the cult over there, because absolutely this is insane. This is garbage. And of course, we're going to get into all of the juicy details, ladies and gentlemen. Hear it from the horse's mouth themselves over there at CD Projekt Red, once more confirming this game is probably going to be nothing more than an absolute hot pile of steaming woke garbage. But at the end of the day, we will find out for sure when the game releases. So we're going to share this article from thatparkplace.com, getting all the juicy details. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing. We just crossed 800 subscribers over here on the gaming channel, and I could not do that without every single one of you. So let us know what you think about all this in the comment section down below. Does this surprise you at all? Does this reinforce your first initial premises and your first ideas about what this game was going to end up being, or does this actually surprise you and you didn't think they were going to go down this path with making Ciri the main protagonist out there? Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. And if you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. So from thatparkplace.com and our dear sweet Montanero, CD Projekt Red claims The Witcher 4 will tackle a woman's struggles in a medieval world. Oh yes, because of course it will, ladies and gentlemen. You gotta love having modern identity politics jammed right into your fantasy, don't you? The Witcher 4 director claims that using Ciri as the main protagonist will allow the team to explore the specific struggles of a female monster hunter in a medieval world. But is a medieval sexism something anyone was asking for in a fantasy RPG game heading into 2025? No, not at all, considering how much what we've seen happen to the video game industry and how much going down this kind of acolyte of the cult woke path has actually seen them done. It's cost them hundreds of billions of dollars. They have had bomb after bomb trying to do this kind of nonsense. Don't believe me? Check out Dragon Age Veilguard, boys and girls. Ever since CD Projekt Red announced that Ciri would star in The Witcher 4, there's been questions and concerns raised. Some corners of the web erupted with outrage at yet another female protagonist replacing a beloved male hero. Others are asking thoughtful questions about lore and whether Ciri's abilities and background even fit the concept of being a Witcher at all. But what's catching the most attention is how the developers of CD Projekt Red have seemingly confirmed they plan to use Ciri's storyline to explore sexism and gender politics in the medieval world inspired world of The Witcher. Speaking to Eurogamer, game director Sebastian Kamala and narrative director Philip Weber laid out how, from the start, they saw Ciri as more than a mere side character. Oh, that's right. We always wanted this to happen. We always were going to make her like this. Yeah, of course you did, because for some reason you have a problem with strong male protagonist. But hey, we know what that goes. As always, male and pale is stale, boys and girls, except it actually crushed the box office over the summer. But hey, reality doesn't matter to these deranged cultists now, does it? They pointed out that while Geralt was already set in his ways, Ciri at the outset of The Witcher 4 is at the beginning of her journey as a Witcher. In a way, even though Ciri is, of course, a defined character with her, players will have the opportunity to still define her quite a bit more, specifically to define the path that she will take on her way to becoming a Witcher, and basically also what kind of person that will make her. What do you mean becoming a Witcher? I thought she was already going to be a Witcher as the game come on. I mean, literally, the story is already not making any sense whatsoever. The conversation with Eurogamer then turned specifically to the question that centered around the idea of sexism in the world of The Witcher. The outlet asked, because of course they they did. The experience of a woman is actively quite a significant theme in The Witcher in a lot of different forms. The women of this world are subjected to a lot of violence. They're heavily sexualized in different ways. Oh yes, the horror, making beautiful women with bustling cleavages for a prominently male-dominated fan base out there. I know, strange concept. There's the kind of deal with the devil that sorceresses have to make where they lose their fertility and so on. Watching the trailer, it seemed to maybe this channel, there's Ciri, a woman trying and failing to save another woman from more of this universe's violence, right? Is that an intentional theme that you were channeling with the trailer? And also, is it something you're intentionally looking to explore in the game? The experience of a woman in particular through Ciri's eyes in the world. Oh, yes, boys and girls. God forbid we ask about, I don't know, maybe some of the struggles, the trials, the tribulations she's going to go through, the actual hero's journey she's going to go through. No, no, no. How is it she's facing things as a woman in the medieval world? Oh, well, of course, they gave them exactly what they wanted. I mean, I would say that the world of Witcher is a really dark one that's really inspired by, of course, dark fantasy folklore, but also medieval to early Renaissance history. And that is a world that was tough for many different groups, women among them. As an example, in The Witcher, we also deal a lot with racism when it comes to non-humans. And this is something that we want to keep up with The Witcher 4. Oh, yes, boys and girls. It's all going to be about racism and sexism in The Witcher 4 from CD Projekt Red. And why this should not come as a surprise to anybody out there. We've seen all of the postings on their website about CD Projekt Red being all the inclusive, the diversity, the LGBTQ alphabet soup nonsense. They have been absolutely virtue signaling all of the cult's ideology for quite a while, boys and girls. So this should not come as a shock to absolutely anybody out there. So of course it's going to be fun, and you bet you can't wait for The Witcher 4 to tackle racism and sexism in the ancient mythical offset fantasy world, boys and girls. I think that's something that's always been really important. We want to make a game for adults, and also that means that we tackle some difficult topics. We tackle them in interesting ways. Yeah, okay, I'll believe that when I see it. We tackle them without giving easy answers, but often opening difficult questions that players have to answer. And I think some of those questions might be going in this direction as well, because yeah, Ciri is a woman, and as a Witcher in this world, that's an unusual state. So I don't think it's going to be this story everywhere. But since this is a part of this world, we want to tackle so many different themes. It's definitely also going to appear there as well. Oh, yes, it will. No doubt about that whatsoever. So does this mean that instead of simply showing how Ciri grows into a monster slaying role, CD Projekt Red feels it's important to weave in a storyline about gender politics? Do most gamers really want that in their dark fantasy? No. No, we don't in any way, shape, or form. And if Witcher 4 absolutely ends up being this hot pile of steaming woke garbage nonsense with a girl boss kind of character that they're going to turn Ciri into, well then guess what? We know exactly what's going to happen to that game. It's going to cost CD Projekt Red hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, and it will be exactly what they deserve for deciding to dance with the devil. Hey, guess what? You get burned. Recent AAA launches suggest that the modern day-isms and overtly feminist angles might be wearing thin on audiences. Star Wars Outlaws, Dragon Age the Veilguard, Concord, and Dustborn have all been criticized for focusing too heavily on message-driven storytelling rather than compelling, immersive gameplay. Each of these games failed commercially, which is a trend that can't be ignored because history doesn't just repeat itself, it also rhymes. It doesn't matter what industry or fan base we're talking about here, boys and girls. We are trying to warn them that this is what happens when you decide to walk down this path, whether it be Warhammer 40K, whether it be CD Projekt Red, whether it be any of the movie studios out there. We tried to tell you, the fans try to scream out to you and tell you that this is not going to work. This is going to cause nothing but backlash from the mainstream audience out there, and it has happened time and time again. They argue that 2024 is the year that woke goes to die because there's been so many giant flops. But hell, we can go back to 2023. How'd that work out for the Saints Row reboot, boys and girls? Yeah, it was a broken and buggy mess at launch because they had concentrated on identity politics and not giving us all the fun, crazy stuff that we enjoyed from the Saints Row franchise out there. And guess what? That studio no longer exists. And you don't think that could happen to CD Projekt Red because there's this big giant studio that's been around forever? Oh yeah, look at Ubisoft, boys and girls. Ubisoft is literally facing down bankruptcy right now and may not be a company that actually exists come 2025 because of how much they have gone down this path of capitulating to the acolytes of the cult, and now they might end up losing their entire company over it, boys and girls. So yes, that will be the exact same thing that will happen with CD Projekt Red out there. So CD Projekt's approach may create headlines initially, but numbers indicate that it often alienates core players seeking to lose themselves in a rich fantasy sci-fi realm where they can take a break from debating societal issues. Contrast that with the buzz around Black Myth Wukong, Stellar Blade, Space Marine 2, or Marvel Rivals games that simply promise fun escapism without underlying any modern political talking points. These titles have benefited from a fan base relieved to get back to the essence of why most people play games in the first place, an engaging world and an entertaining story. And they're absolutely spot on. I haven't played Black Myth Wukong yet, and I haven't played Stellar Blade, but Space Marine 2 was an absolute blast. That was one of my most anticipated games of the year. I absolutely enjoyed it. I love it. It's fun to go back and play, especially if you've got friends to play with. And Marvel Rivals is a lot of fun too. I've only played it once, but it was a really good time. And if you got a group of friends together, it'd be great. And it's absolutely destroyed Overwatch as far as people that are playing it and all that kind of stuff. So it's one of them situations you'd think all of the writing would be on the wall, even for CD Projekt Red. But clearly they are down with the cult. They are acolytes of the spirit of the age out there, and they will continue to push this kind of agenda. And guess what, boys and girls? If all of this turns out to be true, well, we know what's going to happen because we have seen this happen time and time again. And I'm sure you're going to get plenty of comments and plenty of hate out there going, oh, you just don't like women. No, you don't hate women. Da, 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 da. Okay, first off, anybody that knows me knows I love women. But that's beside the point as well, boys and girls, because at the end of the day, we know what this happens because when they concentrate on identity politics over good storytelling and good game mechanics, we end up getting none of that, boys and girls, because that's what they'll do. It happened with Star Wars Outlaws. We saw how much of a broken and buggy mess that happened with. We saw that with Saints Row, and it's going to end up being the exact same thing with Witcher 4. And this is what happens when you go down this path. We have tried to tell these studios, we have tried to tell these corporations over and over again, this is not what the audience wants. And we have now years of examples of companies going down this path and losing hundreds of billions of dollars. And they will continue to do it. So by all means, have at it, CD Projekt Red. Make Ciri the bestest ever kind of strong female protagonist, the kind of Mary Sue that we all know and love that you really want to make her into. And of course, tackle your racism and your sexism in the gaming world out there and in the medieval world, because that's exactly what you're going to try to do with this game. And guess what? We know exactly where this game is going to end up. Witcher 4 will flop if this truly is CD Projekt Red's plan for this game. And boys and girls, it couldn't happen to a better bunch of group of virtue signaling insane folks out there. At the end of the day, you make the fans happy, we make you rich. You go down this kind of path out there, we will ignore you and watch your game flounder and flop. Who knows? Maybe Witcher 4 will end up taking the crown for the biggest video game flop in history. But hey, it probably won't be anywhere near as bad as Concord, at least. Right, boys and girls?